Okay, so we're going to start with some waste yarn, and you want to use yarn that is a different color, like a contrasting color to your cuff yarn that you're going to be using for your mitten. We're going to do a long tail cast on. So we're going to start on the first black peg, and I like to color this little red hump black right before the first peg so you know that it's coming. It's really handy. So you're going to go in front of the first black peg, and then behind the second one, and then in front, behind, in front, behind, all the way around. That's a long tail cast on. Okay, so then when we get back to the first black peg, we're gonna put the yarn in the yarn holder, and then you can set your counter, and we're gonna do 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. Okay. So now you want to reset your counter and put in your put in your color that you want for your cuff. I'm going to be doing alternating colors for my cuff. So let's start with this, and you want it to go in front of this first black one, so you want this first black one to get this yarn. So I'm going to do 2 rows of white and then 2 rows of black all the way until we get to 16 rows. So the cuff is going to be 16 rows. So that's 2. So I'm just going to stick the white in the center and get my black, put in to the yarn holder. Two. Then put the black in and take the white out. Okay. Put your white into the yarn holder. Okay, so now this is 16 rows. So now you can cut your black yarn and going to get your yarn that you want for your main color. I'm going to use this Black Marl. So I am using Red Heart Comfort Yarn, and yeah, Red Heart Comfort Yarn number 4, and this one is called Black Marl, and the other one is Cream and Black, I believe, all from Red Heart. So now I'm doing a medium to large glove. So I'm going to do 38 rows. And then if you want to do a small, you could do 32 or 33 rows. So I'm going to do 54. Because the 16 plus the 38 is going to be the 54. So I'm going to be using my attachment. I got this from Amazon, and it just hooks onto my machine, and it's very handy into like any little drill or screwdriver. Okay. So now that we're at 54 rows, you can cut your yarn. Leave a good chunk though, a good amount, so we can cast off. Okay, so you'll need a yarn needle. I'm going to thread your yarn needle. Okay. And I'm just going to adjust the camera so you can see a little better. Okay, so we're going to start with the first peg. So you just want to roll a couple off at a time. One, because you don't want to drop stitches. Okay, then once you have it off, you can stretch it. So you want all the stitches to be nice and even. So you just stretch. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tie these. I want to tie these together so they don't come undone. Usually tie them when it's on the machine, like when I'm changing the colors. Go. I'm just going to tie this one together with this one. Just so they don't come apart. And also these ones. Okay, so once you have those tied, then you can start stretching it. Okay, so once you're done stretching it, you can come back and I'll show you how to do the thumb. Okay, so now we're going to do the thumb, and 14 rows for the medium to large glove, and for the small mitten you can do 12 rows for your thumb. And I'm going to start, this time I'm going to start with the yarn that I'm going to use for the thumb, and then I'm going to end it with waste yarn. So you want to start with a long tail cast on. I'm going to leave a bit of a tail. So you're going to start around the first one, then behind the second, around, just keep on going back and forth. Okay, so now you can put your yarn into the yarn holder, yarn feeder. There we go. Go slow this first round just to make sure everything tucks in nice. Okay, and so we're gonna do 14 rows. Okay, so this is the 14th row. Now I'm going to grab some waste yarn. I'm going to leave a bit of a tail because I can't remember which end I'm going to need to sew it onto the glove. Oops, keep it under this white one. And then put the waste yarn in. Okay, and I'm going to do about 7 rows of waste yarn. Okay, And then cut your waste yarn and put it in the center. And then to cast off, we're just going to go around twice. And on the second one, it'll start coming off your machine. And then you can just pull it off. All right, and then you're gonna do the same thing with this one, just stretch it. You just want to pull it so all the stitches come together and get nice and long. All right. All right, now I'll show you how to put it all together. Okay, so once you've stretched it, got your stitches looking all nice. Now we are going to start closing up this end. So you want to take 2 stitch markers. So we want to place the stitch markers. This is the start. So we want to put one in the first stitch. So right here you want to put this other stitch marker. And we just put those there just because the last stitches can get a little tight. So now I'm going to use, I have a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. So now we want to count to 23. So starting on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 23. So this is going to be our first stitch. Okay, so then I'm going to count each stitch as I go along to make sure that I've got every stitch, because if you miss one of these stitches, it'll drop and then you'll have a drop stitch. I mean, you can fix it, but you want to avoid skipping a stitch. So you go on this one, so this is halfway, so you want to go through the 23rd one and then pick up the next stitch, so that's, and then go through 1, 2, 3, and just keep on going back and forth like that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Okay, so then when you get to the end, you've picked up all the stitches, then use the tail and pull it through. And tighten that. Okay. So now we can take out the waste yarn. So for this first row, because we put this waste yarn on first, we just have to go around the first row and pull out this first strand. So yeah, you just want to pull that, kind of pinch the stitches here. So if you go a little further, you can do like 5 stitches or more at a time. Just pinch the stitches as you're pulling so you don't get it all tangled. And you just have to do this for the first row until we get over, and then we can start pulling the stitches out like normal. There we go. And now you can just start pulling the rest of it out really easy. Then I usually ball up my waste yarn, and then I'll use it on other projects. Okay, and then that leaves you with this beautiful edge. So nice and finished. Very beautiful. Nice, neat edge. And then you can just tuck this in. There we go. So now you want to, now that you got this closed, you want to pull this tight. And then I'm going to thread my yarn needle. And then we want to go around the center. Just go around the center and like a few times, because we want to make that nice and tight and firm, so it doesn't come apart when people are wearing them, the gloves. So just grab some of the stitches. And pull it tight as you go. So I'm going to go around 2 or 3 times. Okay, so then when you're done, you just want to go through another stitch, and we're going to tie a knot. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have this. You see these stitches here and these stitches here, because we're going to be picking those up. So we just want to line them all the way up, all the way along. So as we're going, we're going to be keeping those stitches all the way along. Especially when you get up to the front here. Just kind of want to get your thumb in there and push it, because you want to keep these stitches all the way at the same row, lined up, and just push that in up here. Keep on twisting and pushing that in. You want these same stitches all the way. Okay. So then to start, you can just go through. It's hard to find the stitches, so just kind of go through a couple times, and it helps secure it up here. I hope you can see that. Okay. You just go through a couple times. This is going to be a little tricky to see. You just want to make sure this is lined up all the way down. Okay. So it's a little tricky. I'm just going to go through a couple more. So I'm going to go through these two bars. I don't know if you can see that. So those two bars. Tight, and then go through the next two bars. And then go in where you came out. And get the next two bars. In for the next two bars. And we're going to mark where our thumb is going to go. So the thumb is 22 stitches, so we're going to count 11 stitches up from the cuff. So it's hard to tell on mine. I used the wrong color for filming. Sorry, you guys. But this is the end of my cuff. So I'm going to count 11 stitches up. So this is the end of my cuff. Can you see that? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we're going to put a stitch marker in here. There. So that is where we're going to stop for the thumb. So that's where your thumb is going to go. Okay, so now let's continue down. Nice and visible join. Okay, and that's what it should look like nice and invisible. You can't even see where the join is. It's hard to see on this kind of, but it's so beautiful. Okay, so then once we get down to the stitch marker, we're going to go through these 2 stitches and just reinforce it and tie a knot. So we'll just go through those 2 stitches a couple times. And then tie a knot. Go through and through the loop. Okay. And you can cut this off. And then put it through your yarn needle. And then you can just thread it through these 2 layers. So there's, just go in through and make sure you're in between like these 2 layers. So it's on the inside of the mitt so you won't see it. Just pull your yarn through and then you can cut that off and just kind of give it a little tug so it goes in between. Okay, so now this is how you can add on a tail so we can sew the rest of this up. So thread your yarn needle. And so I just want to go through the corner here. And I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tuck this in between like these 2 layers. Just pull that through so then it's in between these 2 layers. Okay. And now we have our tail so that we can stitch these together. So we want to find the same edge that we were sewing this together with. So it's these big edges of the V. Okay. So there we go. We're going to be going in there and in there. If you see that, it's easier to see on the white. So that's what we're going to be going through. So I'm going to start. Thread your yarn needle. I'm going to start I'm going to go through both on the edge here and just secure it. One more time. Secure that, and now okay. I'm just going to go through this and tie a knot. Okay, I'm going to cut that a little, and then I'm going to tuck this into here. Okay. So now you have that done, and you have your hole for your thumb. We want to finish the thumb exactly like we did the mitten. So we want to start by closing this edge. The thumb has 22 stitches, so we want to have 11 stitches on each side that we're going to be closing. Okay, so then we're going to count 11 and start on the 11th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is our stitch where we're going to be starting. Okay, so this is going to be 1, and I count as I go because we want 22 stitches. We want to pick up every stitch. So 1, 2, 3, So it gets a little tight when you get in here, so you just want to kind of pick it apart to make sure you get every single stitch, because you don't want drop stitches, because then your stitches will unravel. And then when you get to the end, you want to pull this tail through, tie a knot. Okay, so now that you got it closed off, you can unravel the waste yarn. And this one's much easier because we put the waste yarn on at the end. So now that you have that edge all nice and finished, we can move on to this end. So you just want to pull the yarn tight, just like we did with the mitten. So we're going to be going like this for the thumb. Okay, so now you want to thread your yarn needle. I use this little gourd safety pin to thread it. It's very handy. So now we just want to go around a couple times, around the top a couple times, just to tighten it. And tighten as you go around. Okay, so then once you've gone around a couple times, you can go in ahead and make a knot. Go in and then through. And tighten that. Okay, so once you have that done, so you want to find the line where you're going to be sewing. And to do that, you want to make sure that these V's are the same, going the same way on each side. So then that means that this one would be tucked and this one would be tucked, because we're going to be going in the center of these V's. I don't know if you can see that. So there's a V and there's a V. This yarn is very hard to see. I should have used a lighter yarn. There's a V. So the V's are going down that way, and these V's are going down that way. You want them all to be going in the same direction. Okay. I really hope you can see that. So to start, I'm just going to go through a couple times because it's harder to see the stitches up here. And this secures it. A little more. Go through one more time. Like that. There's little stitches in the middle of the V's. That's what you want to be grabbing. So on that side, and then go over to the other side. Make sure you're going through the right way. See those two little, that's what you want to be grabbing in the middle of the stitches on each side. When you tighten it, hold it from back here and then pull. And then I'm just going to secure it off. I'm just going to go through and make a knot. There we go. We have our thumb. Okay, so now I will show you how to secure it to your mitten. Okay, so you want to grab your mitten, and this is the outside, or sorry, this is the inside, and then we're going to be flipping it inside out when we're done putting the thumb onto the mitten. So we only need one of these strands, and I'm going to use this one because it's longer, so I'm just going to put this one, I'm going to cut this one and hide it inside these two layers. So just go in. And pull it, and you can, oops, cut this. And just pull it so it goes in. There we go. It's hidden. Okay, so now you can thread this, thread your needle. And this is why we leave long tails on the mittens, so we have enough string to sew it all together. Okay, so now you want to stick your thumb in your mitten, and I want my string to be starting down here. So you want to put that in like that. And I am going to go around here. So we're going to be whip stitching. So I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm going to go through here first. Okay. So now you just want to go around these first two stitches and just whip stitch it together, because this is going to be the inside of your glove, so you're not going to see this part. And just do that all the way around. Okay. When you get back to the beginning, then you can tie a knot. And then you can, I like to cut my yarn a bit and then tuck it in through the 2 layers to hide your yarn. Okay, so now we can turn it inside out. And you have your mitten. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, it would be great if you could like and subscribe just to see more of my content. I love making this for you guys. And thank you for sticking around for this whole tutorial. And I really hope you make these gloves and enjoy them for the cold winter.